I recently went RV camping in the National Forest and things didn't go exactly as planned. I'm going to share with you what I know now that I wish I would have known then to help you avoid making the same mistakes I made and be better prepared. Because RV camping in a national forest is different than regular camping. Hi Weekend Warrior family, or if you're new here, I'm Randy, and every Thursday I share tips to help us make every moment count because weekends are just too short. You know that excited feeling you get when you're planning a really special RV camping trip? That excitement of doing something really special? That's the feeling I had while planning my RV camping trip to the Ozark National Forest. And I had just 4 days to see and do as much as I could because I didn't know if I'd ever have the opportunity to return. When my husband Tom and I decided to do this camping trip, the one thing that intrigued me the most about camping in a national forest was dispersed camping. And basically, dispersed camping is free camping on public land, such as a national forest. So this is how I intended to camp. I was on a mission to find free camping in the Ozark National Forest. But the biggest obstacle about dispersed camping is you need to find these free camping spots. You literally drive down Forest Service roads looking for a suitable place to camp. And I didn't expect finding a free camping spot to be such a big ordeal. Before I get ahead of myself and share with you the mistakes I did make, let me tell you about 5 things I did right while preparing to camp in the National Forest, because these are actions you're going to want to take too. Number 1, know where you want to camp in the National Forest. National forests are gigantic. The Ozark National Forest, for example, has 1.2 million acres. If you're unfamiliar with the forest you plan to camp in, do some research to pinpoint a specific area of interest. For example, you know I love hiking and waterfalls. So to prepare for this camping trip, I researched and chose a specific area that had several nearby hiking trails that led to waterfalls. Number 2, have good offline mapping. The odds of having a cell signal are not good. So to prepare for this, I downloaded maps ahead of time. This is another reason that knowing what area you're going to be in is so important, so you know what maps to download. One of these maps was a motor vehicle use map, and these are maps of the Forest Service roads. And what's great about these maps? They show you where you are in real time without a cell signal required. This mapping provided incredibly valuable information. I can't imagine being in the forest without having a reference to my location, because being on a Forest Service road is a very different experience. They might not be clearly marked, and turning around is not always an option. You just don't know what direction they'll take you, or after 3 miles you'll just end up at a dead end. And when I say 3 miles, keep in mind you're not driving on a paved freeway. Number 3, map nearby places of interest. I also used Google Maps. Yes, you can download Google Map areas, and this was extremely helpful to find areas and places of interest without cell service. Stay tuned because I've got a video coming out soon with more information about offline mapping. One of the points of interest I used Google Maps for was campgrounds. There were just 2 in the area, and I made sure my downloaded Google Mapping area included these 2 campgrounds. To know where to access the trails I wanted to hike, I used the All Trails app. I've used the free version of this app for a long time to locate nearby trails when I've been camping. But prior to leaving for my trip, I upgraded to the Pro version because the All Trails Pro version allows you to download maps to your phone for offline use. This allows you to view detailed map information and navigate using your phone's built-in GPS to a trailhead or use while you're out on a trail, even if you don't have a cell signal. I'll leave links to these offline mapping resources in the video description below. Number 4, be prepared by calling the local ranger. Because this is my first time looking for a free camping spot in the National Forest, I had a lot of questions. So I contacted the local ranger a couple of times, and he was very willing to answer all my questions and was a wealth of information. Also, each forest has different rules, and it's important to know these rules before you head out. For example, when I contacted the local ranger, he told me I could camp anywhere I wanted, but I had to be a quarter mile away from any campground. Number 5, bring enough food, water, and supplies for the time that you plan to be gone. There aren't going to be any nearby Walmarts or grocery stores, so prepare by planning and making sure you have enough supplies for the full extended period of time you plan to be gone, or until you plan to make it back to civilization. And dispersed camping does not include any amenities you might expect to have at a campground, so you need to be self-contained with a bathroom or bring appropriate portable bathroom options and supplies with you. I'm curious, have you RV camped in a national forest before? And if so, what special things did you do to prepare? Let me know in the comments section below. Your tips will help me and this Weekend Warrior community be better prepared. As I mentioned, to locate free camping spots in a national forest, you drive down Forest Service roads looking for a camping spot. I assumed if the road was designated as a road open to all vehicles, that meant it would be a road suitable for towing an RV. This was not the case. Even with the offline maps, I ran into trouble. Oh, and turning around, well, finding a place to do this was few and far between. Many hours later, and with no free camping spots located, I was getting really discouraged because it was beginning to look like finding a dispersed camping spot just wasn't going to happen. But we decided to try one more road. Things were going good for a while, and then all of a sudden the road got steeper. It was at this moment we realized we were headed up a mountain. With no place to turn around, we continued onward, hoping to locate a camping spot or a place to turn around. Then the road began to narrow, and we came upon very deep potholes. This is when I became really nervous. After evaluating the situation and saying some prayers, we decided to forge forward, praying we could do this without causing damage to our camper. Someone was definitely looking out for us because shortly after that, look what we found.
How many mountains to get some confidence?
Not only am I camping on a mountain, but I'm surrounded by mountains as well. Look how gorgeous this is.
Years pass, I'm still the same. What will it take?
This evening was so peaceful and relaxing on top of this mountain. I felt like I didn't have a worry in the world.
I'm losing ground. Pretend to tell me what to believe. I ain't got
The next morning, I had a dilemma. Do I stay where I'm at, enjoy the hard work it took to find this gorgeous camping spot? Or do I move on to one of those campgrounds I knew about and hike one of those trails I was really excited about and find a waterfall? It was really hard deciding if we should stay or if we should go because I was skeptical if either of the two campsites I knew about in the area would come close to being as spectacular and as beautiful as this mountainside campsite that I found. Up next is what I decided to do and how it all worked out. But first, here are the mistakes I made when looking for free camping in a national forest and how I would do things differently knowing what I know now. Number 1, have an offline map that shows elevation. The offline map I used and downloaded to navigate the Forest Service Road was really helpful. Actually, I'd have been lost without it, but it didn't show me elevation, and this would have been very valuable information. The road on the map looked like any other road. If the map showed elevation, this would have let me know this road would be steep and it would be taking me up a mountain. Without knowing elevation changes, I didn't know I was headed up a mountain until it was too late. I never would have knowingly towed a camper up a mountainside without knowing what the road conditions would be like. And when I realized we were headed up a mountain, there was no turning back. Literally, there wasn't a place to turn around until we neared the very top. After this trip, I learned of an offline overlay Forest Service road map that does show elevation and another resource that also offers offline road mapping, and I'll leave links to those in the video description below. Secondly, I suggest that you find free camping spots that are RV friendly ahead of time. I wish I had found a couple specific RV camping locations from other RV campers who had camped in the area and were familiar with which roads were RV friendly instead of wandering into the unknown. There are online resources that share dispersed camping spots, and I knew of some of these prior to this trip, but I didn't think I needed them. In hindsight, I wish I had used them and mapped out some proven RV camping spots ahead of time, especially being in an area that I was unfamiliar with. I'll also leave more information about these resources in the video description below. Number 3, do not tow a camper in unknown Forest Service roads. This was definitely my number 1 mistake, towing my camper down Forest Service roads that I knew nothing about. Some of these roads were not RV friendly at all. In hindsight, I wish I had unhitched the camper and then explored the roads with just the truck first. If I were to do it again, I would spend my first day or night at a campground where the camper could be left while I went out exploring for a free camping spot. Then, and only then, after I found a dispersed RV camping spot that had roads that were suitable for towing, I'd go back to the campground, hitch up, and move campsites. Back to my dilemma. I knew that if I was going to explore more of the Ozark National Forest and find waterfalls, I had to leave the mountain. So, somewhat reluctant, we headed back down the mountain to find one of the campgrounds I knew about. Made it to the Haw Creek Falls campground, and look at this campsite. We've got mountains behind us and waterfalls on the other side. That's pretty cool. This is so beautiful. It's literally taken my breath away. Using the All Trails Pro app, I found Pam's Grotto Waterfall Trail, and I'm excited because there's waterfalls at the end of this trail. This is a steep incline. Oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous here. Oh wow. Goes on the ground. Look at that interesting rock up there. Now it's just perched on top of that big rock. Some people say that the path you choose oh. Yeah, it is. This is creepy. Don't think it goes any further. Some people say you forgive and forget, but tell me. I'm not going to be getting up close and personal with this waterfall. It's down this steep hill and in between these rocks. I made a playlist about everything about camping and campgrounds to help you make every moment count, including how to secure the best campsite at a campground. I'll leave a link to those videos right up here and in the video description below, so be sure to watch that next. Well, that's it for this episode, and I can't wait to see you next Thursday.